Ahoy, everyone. This is David Perry with the ongoing Ahoy series, stories from the front lines of business people dealing with COVID and how we get from what I like to call the great pause into the great return. And today I'm really honored to have a dear friend and colleague, one of the best communicators in the business, Stephanie Martin. Stephanie, welcome.
Thank you, David. So happy to be here. Excited to be on Ahoy. Can't wait to have a conversation with you. Always love it.
So before we get into some of the business stuff, personally, how are you and Mike doing? And how has it been for you like in this great pause, as I call this COVID era?
Yeah, it's been really interesting because I've been working from home for 4 years. And so I had already had that remote experience of, what it's like to, have to kind of motivate yourself when you're working alone. So now having Mike at home, I actually, have doubled the capacity of our house. So that's been, it's actually been really nice to be able to have him nearby and work near him and work around him, which has been great. And I think our dog is happy, but that also at times maybe too much love is coming his direction. So
And this is lucky, yes?
this is lucky, yeah. So he's been very happy, more treats, but maybe too much petting.
Yeah, it's funny. Alfredo and I were talking how we too have been working from home for 4 or 5 years. So in a sense, the atmosphere of our workday was the same, but it was, of course, now forced. Alfredo jokingly said there's going to be some couples that will become closer during this COVID and maybe some divorces. We've become closer. And it sounds like that's the same for you and Mike and Lucky.
Yeah, no, it's been great. We feel very blessed that we're able to work from home and be able to do that, and both have our jobs. So it's kind of incredible knowing how much just suffering that's going on. So you do kind of take that in every day as well.
Now, for those who don't know you and know our relationship, we met during America's Cup 7 years now ago. It started in 2013, and we continued working on various projects, Super Bowl 50, the Rugby Championships 2 years ago. And I've always impressed with the network you built of how to communicate with the sports world. And you built a business out of that because also your husband is a quite well-known sailor and you both sail. What has COVID done to your sports marketing business? And talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I've been involved in sports my whole career. First half of my career was more corporate sides where I'm a communicator, as you well know, and but I was always involved in the sports sponsorship side and also community relations side. And then in working on the big events, one of the things that we saw with our where we went with our business was that there are so many athletes that need support. They might see themselves as just an athlete, and there's so many more dimensions to a person than just their athletic achievement. So we really were hoping to help athletes understand where they can make an impact off the field of play and whatever their passion might be, and give them the confidence and the support and the resources so they could go pursue those other opportunities. And so it's been interesting because a lot, with sports, when it initially everything kind of stopped and paused, we had a lot of clients who were mid-season and now were, couldn't work out, couldn't actively pursue their profession. And so there was so much more demand for, I have all this time on my hands. How do, what else can I be doing to further my brand, build my brand up, or build my brand into a business? And then also what impacts can I make right now? How can I use my platform to help with COVID relief efforts around the country? So it was just a very interesting, how all of a sudden we had this influx come into us, kind of in that March, April timeframe.
And how is it now?
Yeah, so one of the things we were interested in doing back in, November, was to start a nonprofit side of our business. And the reason was that there were really a number of athletes who could not access our services because they didn't have the money to do so. And that's really Olympians and Paralympians. 80% of Olympians and Paralympians live below the poverty line.
80, can you repeat that figure again?
Yeah, 80% of Olympians and Paralympians live below the poverty line. And these are people that are representing our country, in the greatest form of sports. So for us, we really want to figure out how do we help these individuals that have so much to give and so much impact to make, how do we help them, use their voice, or how do we help them to, the other number that we heard was over 70% of Olympians and Paralympians have to have 2 to 3 jobs just to pursue their dream of an Olympic medal. So our nonprofit that we're launching later this summer, Athlete by Impact, is geared specifically towards all of those athletes that don't have those resources. And we were planning to launch it later in the year, but with COVID, we just have been accelerating everything because there is so much more need to really enable, take advantage of this downtime, and then also really help athletes think through, if they don't have a paycheck coming in or other resources coming in through sport, how else could they, build a career around what else they're doing?
Well, I mean, to paraphrase the old cliche, a pandemic is the mother of invention. So the name of your nonprofit again is?
Athlete by Impact.
And so how do you reach the athletes and convince them that during this time, there's a way that you can help them, but also that they can help the community? How does this work? What is the physical structure of it?
Well, it's been interesting because in the past 4 years since we've started our business brand forward, we've seen more and more athletes really take that leadership role, whether they're using their voice on behalf of a cause or an organization, or they understand that they are essentially media companies. They can create their own content, their own podcasts. They are the CEOs of their own brands. So I think seeing athletes like a Steph Curry or a Kevin Durant, Serena Williams, really take a hold of their brands and then really start to pursue their other interests, whether it's being an entrepreneur or being an investor, all those things that they're interested in, providing their own creative input into a process, has really enabled athletes to start to see themselves in a different light. And our goal is to help all athletes see that, because they all have the capability. It's not just the elite athletes, it's every athlete has that opportunity. And so through our nonprofit, we will be doing one-on-one work. We have workshops that we've put together that educate larger groups of individuals. We're working towards, way past COVID, introducing a university certificate program that we've built out. And then I think the biggest opportunity is we're creating a library of content. So basically a private community where athletes can come in and they can learn from each other. And that peer-to-peer learning is so important, because if you can see someone who's, another athlete that's gone before you, it gives you that confidence to know that, yes, I can do that as well.
Right, and mentorship goes both ways. I like to say that I spend most of my time communicating by email or text or phone with journalists, but you and Mike as well spend most of your time talking to athletes. Mm-hmm. What is the general feeling now? And of course, this is a very general question about post-COVID. How are these athletes feeling? I mean, we're going to have a baseball season, mm-hmm. Strange one. Yes. And in just a couple of weeks, we'll be in San Francisco for the PGA tournament, which I have to say I'm delighted is happening, because I think it's going to be not only a wonderful way for the athletes to continue to compete, but a real morale boost for San Francisco and the Bay Area. Sports are different. I mean, how do you get the emotion of a jam-packed Oracle Park when there's no people in the stand? Right.
Well, I think sports leagues have been really innovating, and that's what I'm really excited about. Is we've got opening day. The new opening day on Thursday. We've got the NBA season is kicking off this week with scrimmages that will be on NBA League Pass. So we'll be able to see those. The NFL, their training camp is starting up. So there is a lot of activity that's happening right now. And I think, all of those teams have really interesting technology partners that are helping them to think about ways that fans can feel connected. Because, sport is such a uniting, experience. So we've already had the opportunity of watching from home. So what's that next step? How do we then make it immersive? And I think that's what I'm really excited about is we're starting to hear about technologies that you as a fan can, pipe in cheers, or you can be part of sections virtually. I think that's really exciting because we at home are kind of craving these experiences again. And if you can feel like you're part of it in some way, that's going to be super exciting. And it's also going to be great for the athletes because to be able to hear that type of crowd noise will also get them really excited. So I think it will be a great kind of human experiment to see how it works.
Yeah. How long do you think before we go from sports that's about tweets to actually fans once again in the seats?
Yeah, it'll be interesting because, you know, looking at some of the conversation like the NFL teams have had, like this week it came out that the Giants and the Jets are saying they will not play in front of fans this year. The Patriots have put out something early saying that there would be an opportunity for maybe 20% in, you know, fans with big blocks, you know, open seats around them. I think it's a day by day thing. And it really will be based upon what's happening in each state and how the state government and the ordinances that are coming down. I know all of the organizations are working hand in hand with their state government, which is incredibly important to make sure both the players and the staff and the fans are all safe. But I think it's going to be a while before we see it in the way that we used to see it. I mean, and that could change forever. But I do think what's so interesting is bringing in technology is going to enable, you know, before at a Super Bowl, like we would say at the Super Bowl we hosted here in San Francisco, only 70,000 people get to go to the game.
Yeah.
But now with immersive technology, you can almost feel like you're there. So where we're going as a sports fan, I'm really excited about.
So the technology that we have accessed because of COVID might actually enhance some of the sports athlete interaction.
Yeah, I think so. I think it will dramatically change the way that we consume sport because we're always going to want the human connection. I mean, we're humans. We want that social. We're social animals, so we're going to want to go back to that at some point when we, you know, individually feel safe. But the immersive opportunity just opens up so many more doors for fans around the globe to be, you know, to have an experience together, and I think that's exciting.
What are you most looking forward to as far as an athletic sporting experience? The day when you feel you can go out, well, not even so much the day you feel that you can go out, but the day that the state of California or the United States said, okay, the gates are open to Oracle Park. You know, 49ers, come on down. We're going to have a game in Levi Stadium. What experience have you missed most and that you were looking forward to doing again? And how different do you think it will be?
Yeah, the different part is the big question, and I don't have an idea of what it could look like because I think we're far away from it. But I mean, I love all of sport. I mean, and David, you know that well. I just love what sport is, and so being, you know, I'm really excited for basketball to come back. I just think the NBA is such a progressive league, and the way that they're going to really focus on fan experiences is going to be incredibly interesting. I can't wait to see what they do because it's always kind of where the NBA goes. Everyone else can kind of go. They're always kind of an early leader. And then to see what they do in person when we are back in person again, I think that's the experience I'm really most interested in.
So in closing, any advice for one, athletes, and then two, advice for sports fans as we go from the great pause into the great return?
I think for athletes, this is true of pre-COVID, post-COVID, during COVID. You have tremendous power in your platform. And while you're playing and while you're kind of at the height of your career, this is when you have the greatest opportunity to pursue other passions that you have. So know that it's manageable and know that you have that opportunity, no matter who you are, no matter what sport you play in, if you're a starter or if you're on the bench, it doesn't matter. You have an amazing platform. And so really tap into what your passions are as a person. And then from there, once you know those passions and your, you know, kind of your true strengths, you can identify the types of ways that you can make an impact. And we all as individuals can make impacts in a lot of different ways, whether it's social, whether it's philanthropic, whether it's economic. But know that you are so much more than an athlete. You are a person who has a huge potential to make an impact. And then for fans, I think, a sport may look different, but it is still a hugely connective experience. And so I think just kind of stay open to what sport might look like and know that there's change that's happening. But I think we can all be excited for what's to come, because the leagues are really putting a lot of effort into really thinking about how do they create a fan experience that is engaging and is really thinking about the fan as well.
So name again of your nonprofit and the website where people can learn more.
So it's Athlete by Impact. And so that's athleteimpact.org. And then we're also brand forward. So it's BFWDsports.com.
Well, Stephanie, it's always a great pleasure speaking with you and learning from you. You are indeed the CEO of your own brand and one of the most tech-savvy people I've ever known. I don't know if I ever told you this, but because of you, I learned about Uber and Lyft. Because as I recall, we were having dinner one night in North Beach, and of course, who can park in North Beach? I think Alfredo and I spent half an hour looking for parking, and I came out and said, "Do you need a ride?" You said, "Oh no, I'm just right here on my iPhone." I was like, "Wow!" And that was, who even knows how many years ago.
That's right.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. We've been speaking with Stephanie Martin, Athlete by Impact. This is David Perry. Ahoy.